we have what's some commentators call a lean paradox. The paradox of, if it is the case that levelling and flow are the most important, why do so many companies focus just on the waste elimination aspect while ignoring levelling and flow? You might ask yourself that question. Well, in the original Lean book, one of the principles is you try to make every product, every interval, and try to achieve one piece flow. So immediately people say, well, that's impossible for my business. It doesn't make any sense. If I go back to a lab example, it doesn't make any sense for me to, as soon as a sample comes in, to set up a dissolution for one sample when I know the equipment I have is designed for 6 or 12 or whatever it is. So you immediately might think that that doesn't make any sense, so I'll jump straight to the waste elimination piece. And you don't give it any further thought. Whereas on the other hand, it is much more intuitively easy to understand waste elimination. So because I understand it better, I'll do it and I'll ignore the other piece. So that's maybe a bit of an explanation as to why we try to shy away from levelling and flow. These 5 guiding principles then, which were the original 5 guiding principles of Lean, do not change. They are still relevant today. The thing is that numbers 1 and 2 there, which is specifying value and identifying the value stream, again, lots of Lean programs will do that. We'll do a value stream map. We'll look, and then what do? We jump straight to waste elimination. This is a bit of repetition. It's reiterating the point, but just putting it into the context of the original guiding principles of Lean, whereby the 2 in the middle, numbers 3 and 4, are about making value flow and creating pull and about levelling. If anyone of you here is going to ever be involved in a BSM Lean Lab project, you'll find our big emphasis, and Ilan, we've been preaching it here until they finally said, well, yeah, this is the way to go. Often I've done Lean Lab projects where the client is, where is my value stream map? Why have you not done a value stream map? And the reason is that they have already done their value stream map, but we're at this point where we need to now level your workload. So this is the focus of a Lean Lab project, is leveling flow and standard work. Now, as you do your leveling flow and standard work, there is overlap between these 5 stages. For example, when you do standard work for the testing you don't completely ignore quick win waste elimination possibilities. But I do say quick win because it's used often. Test reduction or test rationalization opportunities in a regulated environment can be very, very long term. So to get to an end point where you've leveled what you have to do currently, you can always do your waste or your test rationalization in the longer term and adjust your design once you're basing it on a leveled, flowed process. So I'll explain these in later slides. They represent looking at your volatility. These 2 devices here, one is a rhythm wheel and the other one is a train. They're 2 Heijunka devices, or devices for scheduling your samples and ganging them or grouping them into significant bodies of work that make a productive day's work. And the one on the bottom represents what you'll see later as a roll card or a standard day's work for an analyst when we finalise our design. So just to give a flavour for what BSM have found in the projects we've worked on, is correctly implementing levelling flow and standard work has typically, we've seen, given us productivity improvements of between 20 and 60%. When you get those improvements, you can convert them into increased capacity, or lead time reduction, or a reduced lab footprint. You might find that you don't need all the lab space that you have. So these are the examples. The core example I've picked to demonstrate this, it shows how the productivity improvement was converted into a little bit of both. And once you identify what the potential improvement can be, it's a choice then. Do I improve my service level, or do I run my lab with the same service level but just run it more productively? And then finally, leveled and standardized processes give you a context. Like I've said, when you've leveled and your volatility, that gives you a context where you can really realize the benefit of all your test rationalization and test reduction and activities and any other projects where you do your waste elimination. You're doing it on a good solid foundation. So that's the key point here today.